wanted to be an artist, and when I grew up, that meant be a painter. To me, that meant be a painter. I was a young artist while a lot of my friends were discovering video and performance art, but for me, making art was always had to do with making it with my hands. And although now I make art that I don't make with my hands too, when I started it meant making it with my hands, though I don't always do that anymore. You know, I did a big painting. You know what it looks like, the Bruegel painting with all the flowers? Maybe you've never seen it. I'm gonna get it. I did this painting between 80, it's very small, so you have to get close. It's based on a, you can see it's in many different parts. It's like in 64 different parts. This is 18 feet wide and maybe 22 feet high. Each section is based after another artist. And I started, before that I was depending on inspiration from myself. But I started to hear architects talking about postmodernism. And I did this painting to prove that there was no thing called postmodernism, that it didn't exist. But I discovered doing it that it did exist. And it was worldwide. And furthermore, when I finished the painting, I still said there's no such thing as postmodernism. And the painting itself is on the cover of 3 art history books as a symbol of postmodern painting. And for myself, I discovered the same in the painting. I discovered the meaning of postmodernism, because modernism believed in linear time, that time went in one direction and that it was always uphill, that each new invention was in fact an improvement upon the past. And that's the basis of modernism. So it's a very, whereas postmodernism, the basis of it is a kind of non-linear time, and that a new invention may not be better than an old invention, or it's not necessary in art to always make a new invention, or combining things. I think it's, right now it's in a different state. In the state I entered the idea of postmodernism, it was a relation to history, geography, as a relation to encompassing a larger history and geography than one's own. But now, but always referential, so you could refer to your subject, and the subject in a way was like the subject in a still life, just as the Bruegel painting was a still life, and based on a still life by Bruegel. And it's called the Bruegel series, a vanitas of style, so that the notion of style itself is a vanity, and is in vain, the way the vanitas paintings meant. Not the vanity of looking in the mirror at yourself, but the vanity of, like in the Pilgrim's Progress, the vanity of life and the belief in progress, in a way. All the vanities we hold in life when we think that life is more than 1 minute long. My paintings always depended on my hand, my head, and my heart. But what I wanted them to do is go from my heart through my hand and not depend on an intellectual structure. And my relation to Chinese painting, specifically Chinese landscape painting, brought me to that. So that I think this series in the other room is just no head, just heart through hand. And so, in a way, my idea of art and literature and music and poetry, although it takes an intellectual force to make it, in the end, chews up and digests a lifetime of intellectual force so much. So I've always been a little inspired by Chinese painting, always loved it. It was a conscious attraction. But I learned from that painting, let's say, about knowing something so well that you don't have to know it. The idea of knowing something so well that you don't have to have an idea about it, that can exist. There's a beautiful poem by Rilke. It basically says, in order to write one poem, you have to write 1,000 poems and forget them. You have to live through a lifetime of experiences and have learned from them, but not remember them, not be able to distinguish one from the other, but life changes you as you go on. And for me, painting is part of that. And that is the inspiration that came from the inspiration of Asian art. But I'm very interested in the limitations and setting them in that way. No matter how abstract my work looks, it always has a conceptual base because it's based on strict limitations. So for each painting, I set a set of limitations. And the ideas of American abstract painting, which believed a lot of things I don't believe, actually.
Like what?
Like they believed in a flat surface. I think, well, why does the surface have to be flat? And the minute you put a dot on the surface, then it gets space. So in my idea is to use the landscapes, the flat surface to make a landscape, to use the language of the abstract American painters to make a landscape painting, basically. And the drip there are many ideas behind it. The drip is an icon of abstract painting, but it's also the basis of ancient Chinese painting. The drip and flung paint. And the abstract expressionists denied that they saw Asian art at all, because modernism believed in invention and everything out of your own head. But that's a very American idea, because we have such a big country, we feel like we must do everything ourselves. But that's changed. It's got to change. You wouldn't know it from our president, but it does have to change. This group of paintings went back to the idea I had in the 90s for a reason. It won't be like this, no. But it won't be different either. But it won't look like this. It'll be based on the same idea, but it won't look the same. I'm having several gallery shows now with paintings, but next season in Italy, I'll do a room installation, and I do them often. I do many pictures that are whole rooms, whole installations, or outdoor installations, and when I have the installation, it's not a painting to look at, it's a painting to be in. It's not interior decoration either, but in a way, it's sort of a painting that includes the people who are looking at it. They become part of it when they're in it. Everything that I know about being alive and everything I've forgotten about being alive, I learned from art. And I forgot because of art.